Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud.
In hardcore days.
And we're here to talk about the World Championship, man. Like, I think I only covered the first 4 episodes and then walked away. I still watched the episodes, but we'll get into what we liked about it, what we didn't like. But I was going to say, let's go through partner by partner, eliminated from episode 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way to the final. All right.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah. So let's talk about wait. Before we do any of this, I don't think I've mentioned this before, but overall, this is a thing that's been happening on the challenge that after you win a mission or after you win an elimination, you're filmed showing up at the house, and then at the doorway they're like, hey, they start celebrating and congratulating and hugging, and you know what I mean? That stuff probably happened on the bus on the way over there. I hate the fact that they are forced to act out these scenes every time. It's so annoying. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know. Like in my head, I'm like trying to like piece it together. I'm like, well, I guess the winners maybe they transported them in a separate vehicle and they were like kept away. And
Oh,
like I don't know. I'm just like trying to do mental gymnastics to like, oh yeah, they're all of a sudden high fiving. Like it's like they were just over there and they were all around each other. Like would they not have been high fiving after the win? I don't
yeah.
know. It's stupid. It's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, they do kind of force things and put things together, and then just like a lot of confrontations and stuff like that, like we see with uh Jordan is always a crappy teammate, and then they have to have the come to Jesus moment with his partner where he's like, I'm gonna try and do better and not be an a-hole anymore. Where it's just like it's totally forced television. Nothing that he's saying is actually real. It's
Yeah.
something we see a lot on the challenge.
How did you I was kind of torn about the dual confessionals. Like we haven't really done that before, not in a while anyways. But I think it's weird because it's like it's them just kind of patting each other on the back or being, they're not being legitimate, because what if someone thinks that you're not pulling their weight? You're not going to say that when they're right next to you. You know what I'm saying? Like they're going to
Yeah.
play it off of like, oh, she's trying, when really he was like, oh, she fucking sucks, bro. If he was there by himself, and vice versa. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely cuts down on the trash talking about your partner when they're sitting right next to you, you know. You're not going to be fully open about how you feel. They're always just like, it was at this moment we knew we had to really dig down deep together, and together we could do that. And it's just like, corny like teamwork, like just a bunch
Uh,
of sayings and like, okay, yeah, we did it together. Thank God I had my partner.
yeah. I don't know. I'm tired of partners. It just doesn't make any sense in this world of like injuries and sickness. If your partner, you're fucked if your partner has to leave for some reason. It is crazy that we're using partners in this day, and especially in this day and age of COVID and shit. Yeah,
Well, COVID's over, Vince, but
crazy. Well,
the,
okay, but disease. Who left because they were sick? Remember that? Ben.
like, yeah, they all got like some kind of like I don't know if there's something in the water. Like, did they? I don't know. It was like an episode of Oregon Trail where it was just like Ben gets diphtheria, like, and then
uh,
like who is the other one? Somebody else got cholera or something, and then it was just like everyone was going down with the sickness, and it was just like, is there something in the food? Is there something in the water?
yeah, and that's what
Where
I'm
I
getting
don't even
at.
know where the season was, but yeah, it's like everybody was getting some kind of stomach bug, and some people were getting sent. Like Ben got sent home, but other people who were sick didn't end up going home. They ended up staying.
It's true. Yeah, yeah, they muscled through it. But I'm just saying, like, now partners is so lame. You lose a cast member, think of it production wise, guys. Production, you pay to have Wes on the show, but say you finally team him up with Bananas, but Bananas gets sick. Like that would suck to lose both. Why don't you just have them all on the show? None of this partner stuff. It's so bad. Ugh.
I like having partners, and I like having it just the one thing I liked about the season is the fact that they had partners and they were partners the entire way through. It wasn't they're partners, then they broke them up, then they put them on teams, and then they're back together at the end, like we saw in Ride or Dies. So I like that they stuck together as partners. That's fine. But when somebody has to leave due to injury or illness or a pregnancy, like Amber B, like you need to be able to pivot and be like, okay, like we have a backup partner ready to go. We're gonna bring in Josh, you know? And it was great for like Casey, like when Casey lost Ben, and then what's his name? The short blonde guy, Jack?
Troy. Troy?
Roy? Troy.
Troy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was like, Roy. Yeah. And like with Troy, because Troy had Amber B and she laughed, and it was, and then they're like, hey, I don't know if this is all right, if I'm speaking out of turn here, but TJ, is it possible we could be teammates here? And we could stay in the game, pretty please? And then TJ's like, well, I suppose, even though he's like, but I really wanted to send you all home. Because it's just like, one person's gone, you're all gone. But it was good that they were able to stay. But like that should be commonplace. It shouldn't be like an exception to the rule. It should be like, oh, if one person goes, we have a backup ready to go. And if somebody else gets eliminated, if there's only one person, they would stay on standby, and just in case somebody else needed a partner down the line.
I'm down with that. That would work.
And then,
Yeah.
if Theo rolls his ankle in the final, all of a sudden they're like, boom, we got Ben. And then they bring Ben out of the back. They were like, Ben, you're running now. Theo, he hurt his ankle. I mean,
That's
just bring in a
awesome.
new replacement.
Ben and Sarah having to work together. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
it would be great. They'd be trying to sabotage each other the whole way in the final.
All right. Well, we kind of dipped into what we were going to do, was kind of like jumping forward through the seasons and stuff. But let's start with not our first eliminated partnership, but um, from where we left off. So let's talk about Wes and Zara, or Zara, I don't remember. But do you remember? Do you remember how they went out or why?
Wes, who is, like goes down as one of the best challengers ever. Literally, in my opinion, had the worst like 3-day sequence he's ever had on the challenge. Like anything that could have went wrong for Wes went horribly wrong. He made terrible decisions. He had terrible performances. Like he in the mission, we chose not to drink the gross shake because he's
Mhm.
like, oh, it'll just waste our time. We'll just take the penalty. But then right after that, they had to throw the things into the boxes as they're spinning in a circle. And, he misses all of them. He can't make any of them. So it was a bad decision and then a bad performance. And then they end up in an elimination, and he just has a terrible performance. Like he can't do the math problem fast enough or whatever it was. I don't remember exactly. But it was so out of character for Wes because Wes is generally so good at the game, and he looked terrible. Like it's just like whoa! Is all of a sudden like Wes went from being great to being washed up like that.
Well, hold on though. Okay, yeah, Wes didn't do very well with the math, but Zara, those little spindles of what she calls arms, couldn't really hold that weight for very long. And she even knew that going in. She's like, I'm nervous about this.
Yeah, that was super unlucky. That she had no chance. She's got like the skinniest little arms, like I said,
Hmm.
and holding weight. Like that was just a very unlucky type of elimination to be put into for her skill set because that is the opposite of her skills is anything with strength.
Well, wait a minute. Did they have to be the woman holds the weights, the guy does the math? I mean, they could have done it the other way.
True.
Unless Zara's like, no, my mind is like spindles as well, spindle sticks.
I don't think yeah, I don't know. I vaguely remember her saying she wasn't that good at math either, but
Uh, okay. Because
which
she
begs the
did
question,
win.
what is she good at? But
She
who
won. She
knows?
won. She won. Didn't she win her? I was so sure at first, but I thought she won her season.
Did she?
I think she did, wherever she came from. Was it Britain? Britain's Got Talent? I don't know. Ah, shit.
Well,
But okay, so we were dogging on Wes, saying, "Oh, he looked weak." He did win one of the coolest missions of the season with the Gates of Hell, where you have to like run and slide under those sliding doors. I thought that was pretty cool.
yeah. Well, the only reason he won was because of Zara. She was holding
Yes.
on to who was she holding on to?
Both she was tripping up both Troy and
Danny?
yeah,
Yeah.
she was like just
It was great.
tangling
She
up.
was just yeah, she was just holding onto their legs and they're like what trying to shake her off. And it was like something that no one had done previously in that challenge. It was like, well, duh, try and stop your enemies or your opponents from making it that way. And Wes like coached her up. He's like, hey, just hold onto their legs, make them drag your weight.
It's not brought up. You could only see it in the footage. Um, where Tori, you could see Tori's bitching about what Zara just did by holding her back or whatever, and then Zara just flips her off. Like, I mean, not to her face, she's kind of turned around, but she still flips her off. I'm like, that's awesome. That's fucking cool. I was bummed when they were eliminated. I was like, oh, one less personality for the show. That sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's move on to Janae and Grant. What happened, Dave? What was their downfall?
Grant needs to look where he's going to jump. That was their downfall.
He did. Okay, so this is what he did. If you notice, everyone jumps on the X and forward, right? What he did was he sat on the side and went off from the side. I don't know if he was trying to bounce and go and throw off to the side to start swimming immediately, but what he did was just fall in between that and like whatever's holding it up, the I don't know, tube or something, and fucks up his leg. That's bad.
Yeah, he missed his mark. I don't know. Yeah, it might have been on purpose. He might have been trying to hit more of the side of it so he could jump into the water faster. But yeah, he's the problem is with those things. There's so much air in those inflatable things that you got to land kind of directly in the center to get it to launch your partner correctly.
Yeah. Oh man, what a that. I mean, talking about fuck ups. First West, now Grant.
Uh, I mean,
What?
like, what do they say in Hollywood? You always got to be on your mark. Grant missed his mark.
Okay, so I do have to say though, throughout the season, Grant won the qualifier at the very beginning, and then he
Hmm.
won again with John A in the chains, dragging the chains in the sand.
Yeah. Yeah, he was really good all year. Like he looked like one of the best competitors there. Out of like all the new people that I haven't really seen, he looked great. And it was kind of like a West scenario where, he was great all year and then all of a sudden just one episode, it was one screw up and then he hurts his knee and that's that. But he
Um,
did power through it. Like he still did the swim.
oh yeah, that's true. Oh God, he probably just making it worse and worse with every fucking stroke. Ugh, sucks. Dang it. But Janae, she really took it in stride having to leave. You know, I truly believe it's because she's like, listen, I just won two in a row, all stars. I got paid for those. These aren't champs versus pros or champs versus stars. I actually made money. She's like, I'm sitting good. I performed well regardless until you injured. I go home not as a loser to my fans, but as like, you know, it's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
It's Yeah, it's like in pro wrestling. If you're in a triple threat match and you're the champion, but they didn't pin you, and like you didn't get pinned to lose your championship. The other guy got pinned. So it was like, yeah, I lost my belt, but like I didn't lose. It was this other person who lost.
Yeah.
She comes away, her ego is still intact. She doesn't have to be like, I went into elimination and I came up short, or none of that. She didn't get voted in. It was just like, oh, injury disqualification for my partner. It's a win-win. Like if you're gonna not win at the final, like it's probably the best way to go out, and not have your ego hurt.
So when I'm on the show and say I win like two in a row on like champs versus pros, they're like, YouTuber, does that count? Why not? Jake Paul counts. So I'm on the show, right? And I win two, and then they give me you as a partner because it's called All Star Champs versus Pros Partners, and I'm like, I'm not going to win this final against CT, Wes, Bananas, and Darrell and Jordan. I'm going to injure Dave. Dave, you got to injure yourself. So that I look like I'm like, hey, my record's still squeaky clean. Oh, that's what's going to happen, man.
You're gonna try and Nancy Kerrigan me, aren't you? You're gonna be the Tanya Hard.
I, Tanya.
Yeah. So like I'll be like I'll be coming in for the final like Jordan was with the parachute, but my parachute won't fully deploy and I'll hit the ground and like wreck my knee.
Oh man. Okay, but speaking of though, I am looking uh forward to seeing Johnny and more stuff. I don't remember if she's in USA 2 or All Stars 4. I think she's on one of those. Not the official challenges or the you know what I'm saying. The
Yeah.
mainstay or whatever, the main show, which is weird.
Yeah.
She
It's
should
on
she
one of
should
the
come back.
spin-offs, probably.
Yeah.
And
Um
the one thing I didn't like about John A that made her look bad this year was just I don't know, her and the Kellyanne stuff. Because it was like they were friends, but then John A just like immediately was just like, not if it saves my ass, we're not friends. Like, I'm gonna send you in if I have to. Like, she didn't give a shit about friendship. She was just 100% about saving herself and her team, which I kind of do appreciate because there's people like Tori, who have multiple number ones that they don't want to throw in. But John A is just like, hey, I'm number one. I'm gonna protect myself first. So I don't know. So I guess I'm saying that it was annoying of John A to do that, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, yeah, I guess I understand. It is better to have your own back than somebody else's.
I think it's kind of similar a little bit to Kara maybe or Laurel, where they just know they're the best there. They're just like, I know it. I could fucking outperform most of these people, And I think Cara Maria more because Cara Maria wasn't the greatest, and then all of a sudden she became the greatest. I think there's a different air about you when you go from like
Yeah.
this to like this. But I don't know. To me, I'm like, yeah, that's annoying. I wish she would help Kellyanne out, but that's kind of what happens to some of these champs.
I felt that way about Tori, where
Oh God, don't
it
even get me
wasn't until like
started.
these last couple seasons with Tori where all of a sudden, now she used to be like a scrappy underdog I rooted for, but now she's just like she feels like privileged and entitled and it's got to be her way and I know what's best and shut up, Danny. We need to do this and I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, we're not there yet. Let's move on to the next. Bananas and Justine. All I have written down is they never won a mission. They never won an elimination. They were eliminated by Jordan and Kaz in a puzzle where the audience kind of didn't necessarily help Bananas, but they chose not to help him. Remember that where like the sun was wrong?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Everyone was, yeah, because there was two different pieces, two different blocks that could have been the sun. One had like a smiley face and one had a frown face. Because they were putting together the Argentinian flag, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting because nobody was gonna speak up and try to help them. And I don't know. I mean, it makes sense because I mean, if it's Jordan versus Bananas in elimination, it doesn't really matter to you which one goes home. You just want one of them to go home.
I just thought it was interesting that once again audience helping in elimination reared its ugly head. I don't like it. I don't think it should be allowed. It's one of the worst things, man.
Yeah, I don't like it either. And you know how you could solve that is if you just had the eliminate like the people who are going to go into elimination show up to the ruins or the dome or the arena and they battle it out, and then you have it like fresh meat style where the
Yeah.
van pulls up and you're like, who returned? And everyone's like on the freaking balcony, like looking down, like, oh man, who is Jordan and Zara gonna be in there? Or whatever her name was.
Yes.
Kaz,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Or are they gonna be Bananas and Justine? I think that would be better that way. Because yeah, in the eliminations where people are yelling out answers to puzzles, it's not cool. Like, just let them figure it out on their own.
Even if it's a physical thing, if they could be like, place your hand here or like get down lower, like you're coaching them.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, but real quick, the whole thing was Jordan was like, "Oh, I'm 0-2 against Bananas. Will I finally get a win?" And he does. He gets a win over him, right? But I don't remember the two times that I remember the first one where he turns over the cards on purpose to verse him in free agents, right?
Yeah.
Where they have to break through the wall and climb up. But what was the other time he versed him? I don't remember that.
I don't remember either.
Oh my
I'd have to
gosh.
look it up.
Yeah.
You got Wikipedia ready?
No, it's so far away, but it's fun.
Okay.
Yeah, I really can't think of a second time they went against each other. But apparently it's canon because he mentions it a couple times. Hmm.
Was it like a pole wrestle or something?
Ooh, oh, when though? I have no idea. I don't know. It's kind of driving me nuts, but hey, let's stop this and then I'll send you another thing. The thing at hand. Um, so yeah, Bananas and Justine, they're gone. It's really too bad. I do like Justine, and I didn't like her being with Bananas, but they didn't do anything really. They just kind of left. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I have hated Bananas over the years, but Bananas has acted like a lot more mature and normal in the last couple of seasons I've seen him. So I give Bananas that. He's been far less annoying than he has been in the past. So I don't know. I was a little bummed to see Bananas go just because after Wes was leaving, I'm like, no. I wanted some of the OG people to stick around for the challenge, and so it was kind of a bum to see him go.
Hmm. I did enjoy Sarah bitching him out though, where she's like, "Get out of here! I have, you disrespect me as a co-op." Well, she didn't say that,
Yeah.
but yeah.
She's like, he's coming in here and patronizing me when he talks to me, and it's like, oh yeah, that's your thing.
Okay,
It
move.
was funny seeing them go head to head though, because they're like two personalities that just will not clash,
Hmm.
or will only clash.
Yeah, I did enjoy. She was like, "Yeah, this is what you do. You're tired. It's the same old shtick." I can only imagine living with Bananas where he's doing his thing. I'm like, oh god. Now he takes out the fucking bobblehead, and I'm like, fuck off. Yeah. All right, moving on though to so this is a mixed one. We kind of talked about it before. Amber B and Ben leave. Ben because he's sick. Amber B, she's sick, but for a totally different thing, man.
Morning
Pregnancy.
sickness.
Yeah. Which is very unlike Amber B, right? They used to call her Amber Plan B back in the day.
Oh God.
And Ben being sick, Ben's just kind of disappointed me. Like at every turn, he just kind of like he's like, I really want to win, and I have a friend that passed away and stuff. You know what I mean? But it's like, so you still can't seem to perform right, or you're making these weird political moves, and yeah.
Yeah, he's like I liked Ben on like his first season of Survivor, but I think it was his first season. But like by his second season, it was bad. Like I think he won 2 seasons of Survivor, if I'm remembering correctly. But like production like helped him at every turn. He got like hidden immunity idol after hidden immunity idol.
Oh, really?
Like he got like 3 hidden immunity idols right at the end of the game when there was like 6 people left in the game, and he managed to get 3 in a row to save his ass. Because I think it was Sarah was there and she was going to vote him out along with Tony, like, or at least that was on one of the seasons. It might not have been that one, but yeah, like Ben was likable and he was good in the eliminations. The only reason he was likable was because he was the underdog because everyone else was on an opposite alliance. So it just, he came across as an underdog. But on the challenge, he has not been good. Like he hasn't been really good at performing in the challenges. And politically, he's all over the map. And like Sarah should have his back because they're both survivor people, but she's just like, no, I can't trust him. I literally have no idea what he's going to do week to week. You just can't count on him.
Yeah. Neither one of these guys won any missions or any eliminations, but out they go. But Amber, who remember was it Casey who was pregnant and then we lost Kahada because of that on All Stars? Remember that?
I don't remember that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I
It's
believe it
terrible.
was Casey. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
pregnant Casey.
who's Amber B? Is it Chauncey? Is that her man?
Yeah.
Right? Because we just saw him like last season or something. Was he on
Yeah.
Ride or Die?
I think it was yeah, Ride or Die.
Oh.
No,
Spies,
geez,
Lies,
I
and
don't
Allies. I
know.
don't remember.
Yeah, it had to have been that, right? I don't remember.
Probably.
Well, let's get off of them. They're gone. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, on to Jody and Benja. They didn't win a mission. I don't think they really got along. I think Jody's lame. I think she's just boring, you know. And poor Benja
Yeah.
was like, everyone hates our challenge, our country and shit. Well, yeah, they got eliminated by Casey and Troy. That's where they had to like do the spinning around thing and solve a puzzle or whatever. But they did win before. They had one elimination win. I didn't write down who they defeated. But yeah, I don't know. I felt bad for him immediately, especially Benja. He seemed like he was a good
Yeah.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He seems super likable. He was a cool guy. Yeah. Jody, I don't know. Like personality wise, she doesn't bring anything to it. She's a solid competitor, but she's just solid. She's nothing special.
Oh, I
Like,
disagree. I think she was really good on All Stars 2. Remember when her and Brad were cleaning up and shit like that?
yeah, I mean, if she's going against a bunch of old washed up
Okay.
all stars. They call it all stars, but it's really like the retirement club, you know?
Well, let's move on. To Kellyanne and Tristan. They won 2. They did the blob jumping, swimming thing. They beat Emily and Yes because Yes was slow. But they also won a trivia thing. And by the way, I skipped that whole fucking thing. As soon as they showed up to the mission and you saw Heights and you saw fucking TJ with a stupid ass smile, I'm like, oh, it's a trivia thing. So I literally just jumped forward on Paramount Plus to the ending where they announced the winner.
Oh, that's a shame. It was actually one of the best trivia episodes I think they've ever done.
Oh
They
man.
actually got the format of it right, where if you get one correct, you get to they get to like make one of the other teams have to pull a string, which I guess the pulling of the strings is kind of a little goofy, but you have like basically 5 ropes, and one of them will pull you and drop you from the platform, but you don't know. So if somebody else, it's kind of like a voting process. If you get a question right, you get to try and vote off one of the other teams that are up there. So
All
it's
right.
there's a kind of a strategy to it. Like if you get one right, we want to get rid of that team first, and then we want to try and gang up on them. And so it was good, like politically for the House, because people are getting crossed. Like, what are you voting for me for? Like what the hell?
Well, I mean, I'm sure they got the maybe they did get that right, the format right, but you cannot pay me to watch TJ stick out his fucking tongue in a ridiculous laughter that's so over the top. It's just like, dude, nothing's that funny. you know, like you are overselling it, my man. Oh God. Uh, but let's talk about they won an elimination, but they also lost to Darrell and Kiki in what I would say was the craziest, hardest one where they have to use like chopsticks, giant chopsticks, and carry those puzzle pieces across that those ramps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was hard, man.
That reminded me of something like they do on Survivor. I'm pretty sure they stole that from
Oh
Survivor,
shit. Oh
but
god.
it was really good. I liked it because it was teamwork, it was balance, it was communication. Like both teams are kind of like yelling and bitching at each other. Like, come on, it was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, and it's too bad that Kellyanne and Tristan are done. I liked what I saw from Tristan from his original, that final, anyways. And Kellyanne, I like her. I mean, even though she kind of came off a little nutso, and paranoid, she was right. John A. didn't have her back. She was right to be freaked out. Yeah.
Yeah, and see, I have a little bit of a theory because I remember after like the first 3 or 4 episodes, I thought, I'm like, Kellyanne is off her rocker. She's crazy. She seems like she's not on her medication or something. And then I swear, like a FedEx like package showed up in the mail with her medications, and suddenly from like episode 4 or 5 on, Kellyanne was just normal Kellyanne that I've always seen. But like for the first like week, she was batshit crazy, like totally batshit crazy, and then she was a totally different person after that. So I don't know. I feel like she either got some medication or maybe it was her time of the month or something, but she was a different person.
Well, let's talk about some more positives here. I think they defeated who did they defeat? Um, but I just remember they picked them because he wore his hat a certain way that was to indicate to Janae who she was going to throw in or something like that. I don't know. Kellyanne, I felt really bad for her. I felt like had she been with her medication, as Dave says, she might have been able to really convince people to vote a different way. Who knows? I don't know. It's unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was unfortunate because I like that version of Kellyanne that got sent home. Like, if she got sent home in like week 3, I wouldn't have cared. But week 7 or 8, I cared, and it sucked. I honestly, I wanted Darrell and Kiki to go home.
Speaking of which, Darrell and Kiki are next. They won the flying around thing with the on the cranes that you drink the smoothie and stuff like that.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
yeah. And Kiki, she won 2 eliminations, one by herself. She out wrestled that Portugal woman, and
Portuguese.
yeah. And then they won together on something else. Oh, they defeated Kellyanne and Tristan, but they met their demise through Casey and Troy with you swing through the walls and then you have to put it back together with the math. That was kind of weird.
Yeah, but I don't know. It was a really funny sequence at the beginning of that elimination because they
Oh,
were like on a
okay.
rope swing, and then they had to like go through the wall, but they just hit the wall of bricks. And they're just like, "What the heck?" Who? And they like turn to TJ and they're like, "Hey, TJ, who tested this?"
Yeah. Yeah, that was
And then
awesome.
I think Troy ended up getting it, and he like really swung into it, and he like tried to like just kick one foot through it or something like that, and he just got like because Troy is so small and compact, he managed to get like a small little hole, and then they could kind of make it a little bit bigger after that.
It came down to the math though. Kiki said this. He's like, she's like, Darrell would forget if I didn't remind him. But it sounds like he forgot. He did all the math except for the last part where you plus 24 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was kind of on her. I mean, he did the math correctly, I think. I don't know. It's weird.
Well, I mean, if I don't know, with a math problem like that, really like you need to be either one person is doing it or you need to be checking the other person's work. You know, you can't just do half and the other person do half. Like you have to be working on it together. And like if you don't know how to do it, you need to let the other person do it. But yeah, because there was two sides to the equation, you know. You had to like do this complex part, but then the complex part, then it was like multiply by 24 or plus 24, whatever it was. But he forgot to do that secondary part to it.
Yeah, so I don't know. Darrell's gone. His weakness is puzzles and math. Well, trivia, that sort of shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never understand like the last what's been like last 3 years, how many math problems are now on this show, and I absolutely hate it. It's so stupid to me. Like, why is there so much math? Like, just give them a puzzle. Give them, I love like in the final when they had like the slide puzzle where they had to slide the pieces around, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's a good puzzle. Do puzzles like that. Don't give them math problems.
Yeah. So let's move on, man. This is the aftermath, you might say. Uh, let's move on to Yes and Emily. They won two missions, Tunnel Time, where you run through the dark, and I just remember Yes doing all the math quickly and shit because he was tied to the post. Remember that? Yeah.
Hmm.
And then they won Points Break, where it was a swimming thing, and Yes was able to compete with her on this because they didn't win that last water thing that they were on, and so yeah, somehow Yes became a better swimmer within like a week or so. So that's cool.
Yeah,
But
I,
yeah, go ahead.
I really liked Yes and Emily as a team. Uh, like actually, like I really dislike both of their personalities. They like I don't feel like I could ever be friends with them. They're not very nice, but I just love their competitive nature when it came to playing the game. Like they were not there to make friends with anyone or to make alliances. They had their alliances, but like they were just there to try and win. And I thought that was pretty awesome. And the fact that, they had their enemies, with like Tori and what was the other one? Was it Sarah?
Well,
Or was Sarah they were working with Sarah.
yeah, no,
I
what was happening was that Australia hated, like, were betraying each other. They hated each other. Troy, remember? Like, the whole
Yeah.
reason why they go into elimination is because there's a stalemate. So now Troy and Casey get to choose who they go against in elimination, and they're like, we're out for revenge. They wanted Yes and Emily. Yeah. So that sucks. That stalemate really fucked them over and shit. And in fact, I remember they made that deal with Jordan. They were like, okay, Jordan, he's like, if I'm about to win, I will not win. But he never said I won't fucking pull your string and betray you guys so you can't win. You know, that sucks.
Yeah. That was so strange. I don't know. It was weird because it was like Jordan, like he wasn't even like trying to help himself, to like, or I don't know. It's like at the what he proposed in that plan of like, hey, if I'm in first and you're in second, I'll let you guys win, was what I took away from the conversation. But then that turned into, well, you're not in first, and now I can screw you over, even if I'm in second. But I'm
Yeah,
and at that point, once he screwed them over, I was like, well, Jordan, just go ahead and win it. But like, no, he just stood there
yeah,
and he's trying to help the other team win, and they're like, they still couldn't get it, even with all the help.
right. Yeah, that was super
It was very
awkward.
frustrating. It was so frustrating to
Just
watch.
so
It was like,
Jordan could.
Jordan, why didn't you just win? Like,
Okay, so they go against Casey and Troy in Hall Brawl. Snooze. I am so sick of Hall Brawl. Retire it for 2 seasons. Give me 2 seasons. That's all. Like, and then they could all be Hall Brawls every elimination. I don't care.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was a bummer to me to see Yes and Emily get eliminated at this point in the game, right before the final. Because Yes and Emily, to me, I was like, this team could win the final. And if they don't win, I could see them in second place. Like they look like one of the hardest teams you would face in a final. So for them to go home, like I knew in my, I knew already, like Troy and Casey. I'm like, I've never seen Troy before in a final. He did win on his season, but I never watched it. But I've seen Casey in a final, and I know Casey is not good in the final. Like we've seen multiple times Casey perform poorly in a final. And yeah, that's exactly what we got when we did get to the final. So I was like, I was just like nodding my head, like, yep, this is exactly what I expected.
okay. So did you feel, and this doesn't happen very often, um, where someone's eliminated and then they just like are emotionally distraught, where they're just crying and crying. I haven't seen that since like Inferno 3, or what's her name? She got beat by Jen. Um, and she like left the set crying and stuff like that. Like she wouldn't even come back to say goodbye or something like that. Yeah. Um, yeah. Doesn't happen very often,
Yeah,
but she was broke.
yeah, it was tough. Because I was rooting for Emily a lot. And then when she's just in tears like that, I'm just like, come on. I'm like, shake it off. Like, you're a pro. You're an Olympian. Like, you got to be able to lose, and keep your composure. You don't want to like be bawling, crying. I know it hurts, but you cry in the locker room after the game. You don't do it while you're still on the field in front of your opponent.
Yeah, especially since they hated her so much and they were like, yes. Let's move on to the final now. Theo and Sarah, they did win, or they were handed that win right before the final by Jordan, even though they were so terrible at it, with math. But we have Theo and Sarah. What happens is Theo twists his fucking ankle, man. Sucks.
Yeah.
Did you feel anything? Did you care?
I mean, I was rooting for Theo. I really liked Theo. And I thought they were definitely one of the dark horse teams. I thought Theo and Sarah could definitely win it. I thought they had a good chance. I wasn't sure how Sarah would do on the endurance. And I guess, we'll never know because she didn't really have the opportunity because of Theo's injury. But it was a bummer for sure because Theo's such a nice guy. He's one of the few like genuinely nice people that you root for. Because you have Troy who's super likable, you have Theo who's super likable. I mean, then you have like Jordan, not likable.
Yeah.
Um, Danny is likable. I like Danny. But when you have guys like Bananas and Jordan out there, not likable. You're not rooting for those people. So yeah, it was a bummer for Theo because he's come close in a lot of seasons. He's only been on a few seasons and he's come close, but it's unfortunate to end that way.
Okay, so I didn't feel bad for Sarah. In fact, I was just thinking like, remember she was like last place in Challenge USA, and we kind of thought she gave up because she was just sitting there in the rain for a long time. Remember that? And then they're like,
Yeah.
"Hey, everyone quit. Why don't you just keep going?" I don't know. I felt there was some production shenanigans, and she was pretty slow on the final to begin with. So I feel like there's some digging into some Casey territory where they're like, "Did you really win?" You know? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I don't feel terribly sorry for Sarah just because I don't know. I don't really care for her that much, but like when Casey won that one season with CT, The reason she won was because she was in last place and she had to be put into an elimination with Nani. And then Nani basically doesn't try and lets Casey win because Nani is like the ultimate, like, wife material. She's letting her partner win. So she lets Casey win. And that's why Casey got to choose her own partner in CT because she got last place. And it was just like, oh, well, then Casey picks the best partner, who was CT. And then they win that last little portion of the final. So it was like, out of all the finals, like if you could rank them on ones that weren't really a good performance and somehow you got to win, that's got to be at the top of the list.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, they're done. Let's move on to Casey and Troy. Uh, Casey and Troy. Oh, wait. Going back to Theo. Theo had one of the great parts, and he shared it with Danny. Well, like when they're having the arbitration, or they're trying to talk about votes and stuff, and Danny's like he's trying to wait to be the last. Him and Tori are trying to be like the swing vote or whatever, and Theo was like he was over. He's like, no, do a vote. That's what we're all doing. And Danny's like, you don't tell me what to do. I don't have. He's like, I'm just telling you what we're here to do, which is vote. And he was calling him out on it. They were trying to like
Yeah.
see what popped up, and they would just go with this or that, and they would never go first. And I love that fact that Theo stood up to Danny. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. I think that was awesome. But I do think that that was Tori giving instruction to Danny and Danny kind of following along with Tori's instruction of, well, we'll see how the votes go and then we'll try and go last. And then if it's
Right.
this situation, we'll do this. If it's this situation, we'll do that. But yeah, it was awesome of Theo to just call him out on it and be like, hey, no, you're gonna vote. You're not gonna wait till last. You don't get no, seniority or some kind of privilege to get your vote last.
Yeah.
We're going in like clockwise around the table here, and you're up next. Like, go.
Exactly. Like that's just how Tori was going about things. She's like, "Oh, I got this figured out. We're gonna go." Either way, though, you don't really see Danny get into an argument except with Theo. Really, I mean, like he argues with Troy, but not in that Tori, but not that way where they're just kind of like raising their voices a little bit. Like, you don't fucking tell me what to do and shit. I was like, yeah, this is good. It's good because you're bringing Danny out of his shell because he was boring in Challenge USA. I hated him almost, and his wife. Kidding.
Oh, don't talk bad about Kiki. Yeah, he was a little boring that season, but that's not even really on him. That's on the production. They gave him a bad edit. Danny's fine. I I
They gave him
mean,
a non-edit, man.
they did, but
Uh,
I don't know. This season, just pairing him with Tori was like terrible for him, but also great for him. It was terrible because Tori was kind of, always trying to work against him. But then it made Danny look good because it was like Danny had to deal with his crazy partner the whole season. That he's
yes.
like trying to police and trying to be like, hey, don't try and sabotage us and throw us in. Like,
Well, all of that is true. We're just skipping Casey and Troy though. Let's go and give them some justice. Like we said, we don't feel like Tracy, their partner team name, that we don't believe Casey deserved the win. And she was once again breaking down in this final. They would go on. Casey would win 4 eliminations this season. Troy, 3 of them with her. Like they really had to fight to stay there. But I mean, Troy was nonstop supportive, positive. Casey was just breaking down, especially after that first day. Yeah.
yeah, Troy even he put her on his back, carrying her.
Yeah.
And like as I watched that, I was saying the lines from Return of the King. It was like, I can't carry the ring, but I can carry you. Throws Frodo on his back. I'm like, Troy is like Samwise Gamgee to me. He's a
Yeah.
little hobbit, from ah, eh, Troy is awesome. I love him. Casey, uh, Casey is so good in eliminations and like the regular season of the challenge, but in the finals, she's just not good at all.
And then she
Like,
had that injury. Remember that when she
yeah,
fucked up her knee? Yeah.
yep. They ruined Fessie's chances, but that was kind of great because,
Fessy never would have ate that food. You know it.
yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. Go ahead.
Um, I don't know. I think it's crazy how like Casey, this is like her. How many years has she been on the show? At what point is she going to start going for a run? Just everybody has a phone. You can get an app on your phone that tracks your progress. You can go for a run. Start off doing a half a mile, then a mile, and then I did this, and I did it over the course of 6 months, and pretty soon, I could run 6 or 8 miles. Like it's not the most difficult thing in the world. It just takes the discipline to go, 3 or 4 times every week. You got to go running. But Casey, even with thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, Casey is not bothered to try and get into shape and have some cardio.
Um, like Aaron Rodgers fans, I'm gonna blame the girlfriend. I'm gonna blame Nani. She's gumming up the works.
Maybe she is. Ooh, that's a good take. I like it.
All right, let's move on to Tori and Danny, which we kind of mentioned. They didn't win anything. They didn't win any of these missions. They didn't go into any eliminations, even though remember when Tori wanted to go in?
Yeah, kind
Oh,
of sabotage their team.
damn
They
it.
were doing so well, they got allies, no one's voting them in, and then Tori's like, I can't send my friend in. I'll go in myself.
Oh gosh. I think I don't know. Tori to me is just like she's the princess. Like production just loves her, and they're gonna try and push her, help her with like make sure Jordan's there, so they will already have this pre-alliance. Anissa put her in there because they're tight. Yeah, she just comes off very spoiled, and I love the fact that Danny was like, no, we're not just gonna follow you the entire time. I'm gonna, I got my own friends and stuff. And so yeah, it was very much like Tori. I was kind of getting sick of her. Danny was cool for the first time. It was awesome. I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Tori. Like, I can't stand how Tori is doing everything she can to protect Jordan, where we've seen season after season after season of Jordan treat Tori like absolute trash. Jordan always treats her like trash, and Tori is still just going out of her way to be nice to him. And I'm just like, you are just setting yourself up for failure again. Like, he's going to hurt you again. That's what Jordan does. And it's just, I don't know. I'm watching Tori just make the same mistakes over and over again, trusting Jordan when like Jordan's not going to have your back. I'm fine with Tori being really nice to trying to help Casey get a win because like, all right, you're friends. You want to help her get a win. But like, I don't know. She's technically won one, so I don't know.
It's
It's
true.
it's one thing if you're trying to help your friend who hasn't won a challenge, but Jordan has wins. He's not, I don't know. I don't even understand like why she's going out of her way to help these people who don't really seem to go out of the way to help her.
I will say though, out of the two, I think Danny is, if anything, he might have been the reason why they lost or the reason why they didn't win because he seemed to be kind of in the back, kind of moving not that fast, which
Yeah,
was, yeah. And Tori
I
seemed
was
to be
shocked.
okay.
Yeah, Danny looked terrible on day two. He looked slow. I don't know if it was just the edit because we didn't see a ton of him, but anytime we did see him, he was moving very slowly.
Oh shit.
Um,
Okay, so I forgot. Remember Tori reveals one of her fears in the final? Do you remember that fear?
uh, does it
No?
have something to do with trains?
Bikes. She's afraid of
Bikes?
bikes, remember? I don't know.
No,
It
I don't
was it
remember
was it
that.
was so lame. I'm like, I don't give a fuck if you're scared of bikes. Like, is that gonna play into it? Like, did they just go so slow on those bikes? I don't know. It just didn't really pay off. Yeah.
I don't. When she first grabbed her bike, she was saying how she couldn't reach the pedals, or something.
All
I was
right.
like, what is this? And I'm like, I was so confused. I'm like, how do they, are these like carnival bicycles? Like, how can you not reach the pedals? And then like a couple edits later, we see her on the bike and it's just perfectly normal, just a normal bike with normal pedals. And it's just like, what were you complaining about? Like, it's a bicycle.
Okay, I want to mention really quick. I mean, this is a recycled final. That really sucks. They do the weight things again from the qualifier. They drink the shakes. The shakes had to have been different for Tori because she's like, "Oh, I'm a vegan." So like all the food, if they ever have to consume something, it's like vegan for her. So who knows? Maybe the shake is actually a little bit more tolerable than the shake that Danny and everyone else has. You know what I'm saying? Uh,
Yeah. I
yeah.
didn't, so they actually cater and give her vegan stuff?
I mean, she isn't our first vegetarian or anything like that. Nehemiah, uh, what's her
Hmm.
name? Uh, Angela from Challenge USA. But she is the first one to say, like, put it in my contract. I'm not going to eat, you know, meat or
So
anything like that.
yeah. So
Uh,
they have to like go to Burger King and get an Impossible Whopper and then like cut it up and be like, "All right, there's your protein." Then they'll mix in some tofu.
but I just feel like that's a big uh advantage, Like if you don't have to eat the gross meat or the bugs, there's so much shit that
Yeah.
you
Or
don't
like the
have to
rotten
eat.
cheese or rotten dairy. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So I think she's clever. I'm not saying Tori's bad at all. I think she's pretty talented and whatever, but um she is getting a lot of help in many ways. Some of which, I mean,
perhaps in that way. Yeah. Because
yeah.
I think I have criticisms of Tori, but like her as a competitor, I have no criticisms. She's like probably the best female competitor there, and that's why I hold her to such a high standard. And I get annoyed by the fact that she's trying to help the people around her win. I'm like, no, just focus on winning yourself. Like I want you to be going for the finish line, like doing everything she can for Danny. But I don't see that. I see her trying to help Casey and Jordan more than she's trying to help Danny. So, and but yeah, in the final, Danny was a letdown for sure. Like I was kind of surprised, but at the same time, I feel like with the edit, we didn't see a whole lot of them, and we didn't really get to see what slowed them down so much.
I think I'm gonna go back to the bikes. I think they didn't do very hot, but again, they didn't show anything. I just remember they eventually showed Jordan and Kaz, and then go so far, and then Tori and Danny finally popped out of the bikes or something like that. But let's talk about the winners then. Jordan and Kaz. They won the highway, uh, the Transformers thing. Remember, like
Mm,
you bust through
I don't
the
remember.
back of a semi truck and you're on like a little dune buggy or something like that.
Oh yeah, and then
Yeah,
wasn't it Emily like
yeah.
she wiped out and like rolled it?
And then again, she was crying like crazy. She's a crier.
Oh, oh, it looked devastating. I thought she was like, oh, she's gonna break her arm or some shit. She's gonna have a concussion, neck injury. She's like, no, I'm fine.
And then Tori was so jealous that she flipped her car as well. Oh,
Yeah,
people concerned for me too?
it was so hilarious because they're going straight, they're going super fast. They hit the brakes and then they immediately just turn the wheel on it, thinking that they're gonna do like a donut.
Yeah.
But
Shit.
it's like they got like meaty tires. Like those things got a lot of traction.
Okay, well, we only got like a minute, and so Jordan Kaz win. Do you count this as official for Jordan? Is he a four-time winner?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Jordan did great. Kaz, they tried to paint her as like an underdog who wasn't that good of a partner, that didn't have a lot of endurance, but like they were painting her that way. But Kaz was a great partner, I thought. I thought she did phenomenal in the final. She wasn't really slowing, like Jordan was slowed down a little bit, but not a lot, not like other people's partners were.
Right.
Kaz did great. Jordan did great. A win is a win.
Okay. Well, after in the meantime, Battle of the Challenges podcast, like, subscribe, comment. This was Vincent Clapp.
David Lauer.